Professor Ashok Kumar. He's Associate Professor of Political Economy at Birkbeck University, who has a specialism in labour relations. Good afternoon to you.
Afternoon.
So many people would look at this and say, I know inflation's running high, but many people have really struggled in this. Lots of us haven't had pay rises. These pay rises are pretty good, but many of them are not happy. What do you make of it?
Many people are unhappy about other people getting pay rises. I'd like to see the poll numbers on that, because if you look at the recent rail strikes, it's the highest favorability we've seen in the last 50 years for public sector strikes, especially ones that's as disruptive as rail workers. So, you know, the preponderance of evidence suggests that people actually relate to the people who are going on strike, many of them who worked throughout the pandemic. When you see the top-end profits, you see the top-end salaries, you see people who are trading in stock options making a killing off of privatized public services, most people agree that they shouldn't be profiting off of other people's wage suppression. And that people, and the numbers you gave, you say 3%, 4%, 5%. The RPI is at 11.1%. The last year, it's been 7%. That isn't even 1/3 of what the wage cut's going to be. So we're talking about a real term wage cut. They don't deserve that. No one deserves that.
So, but the government would argue there is no money. We have spent all of this. We've got hundreds of billions of pounds that we spent on furlough. We've been bailing out the economy. Rishi Sunak saying that people are going to pay higher and higher taxes. And certainly from TalkTV viewers, they're not happy about this. When you look at the NHS workers, Unison demanding 14%. Doctors, the British Medical Association, my union, demanding 30%. Many people very unhappy.
Well, look, I think that the government not having enough money, the government can generate money. You know, in the 1950s, when in order to avoid runaway inflation in America and falling asset prices, they had the top 1% paying 92% top marginal tax rate. The idea that the government doesn't have money is pretty strange. The government can generate money very easily.
What, by taxing everyone more?
By taxing the rich, the people that profited from the pandemic.
What is rich?
The top 1% is rich. I think most people would agree that the top 1%, people would agree that millionaires and billionaires are rich. So, you know, rather than what, you know, Boris suggested before, that, you know, actually we should not allow any caps on bonuses in the City of London, I think most people would agree, even TalkTV listeners and viewers would agree that actually the rich getting incredibly richer is probably not where money should be generating. Money should be going to people who are cleaning the streets.
I think you're talking down to TalkTV viewers. Are you saying that they, you know, they are saying
I'm saying TalkTV viewers because you said TalkTV listeners. I'm like, even the TalkTV listeners wouldn't agree with that, surely.
I think people are very concerned that they have no money in their pocket. They're seeing people who have had security in their jobs. Many people, 1 million small businesses, got no help from the government whatsoever. You're expecting people who have job security to get more and more money, and you expect the taxpayer to pick up that bill.
They're not getting more money. They're getting a real term pay cut. That's what I don't know what
inflation will fall eventually.
I don't know how that's not necessarily true, but I also think that inflation falls when there's government action. And so what you have right now is profits going through the roof. There's a recent study that said 73% of the reason why you're seeing runaway inflation outside of the exogenous factors are actually because the people at the top end are creaming off the top. And actually, if you actually had more people have more money in their pocket, would actually spend that money, that would actually energize and circulate the economy. That's what you saw in the 1950s.
So, may I say, with the greatest of respect, tax the rich is a slogan. It is not a policy.
It's a policy. It's a call for a policy. We've had 40 years of neoliberal policy where the rich have gotten richer and the poor have gotten poorer in real terms. Now we're seeing that really come to a hold, and you have to tax the people who have generated the most money. So
you're happy that corporation tax is going up? You're happy that we're going to drive businesses out of this country? You're happy that you're actually going to crash the British economy?
You need to tax wealth. That's how you generate money.
You're going to tax small, medium businesses. You're going to tax those people who are smaller companies a lot more money.
Top 1%, yes.
No, I'm not talking about the top 1%. I'm talking about the corporation rise, the national insurance rise. You're behind those.
I think that in order to ensure that more people, working class people, will actually spend that money, get that money. How did we stop runaway inflation in the 1950s? The way we did it is by we taxed the rich and had more people spend money. The rich don't spend the money. They put it in some, credit default swap or in stock options, or they put it in some, tax haven. We want people to spend money in the economy. You distribute more of it. That's middle of the road Keynesian economics. The strongest economy we ever had in this country was between 1948 and 1968. That's across the Anglo-American world. Why was that? Because you taxed the rich and more people had the higher incomes and they spent that money. It's not a radical policy. It's a policy we had in this country when it was the most successful economy in the world.
I'm just deeply nervous we return to days that I remember, the 1970s, where we had union strangleholds, where we saw them pushing for higher and higher prices, and as a result we saw catastrophic changes to public services.
No, they were responding to the catastrophic changes that were happening in the economy. And that's what's resulted in where we are now, where we have a globally competitive economy that sees lower and lower wages, people pitted against each other, and the beneficiaries are the people that aren't actually spending their money in the economy.
Let me just ask you quickly. So you're behind these sectors all going on strike. Doctors, nurses, Network Rail, BT, you're happy with the strikes?
The only mechanism...
Are you happy with the strikes?
The only mechanism that working class people have ever benefited and had higher wages is by going on strike.
So you're happy?
I'm not, what does it mean I'm happy? I'm an academic.
So you think that is an acceptable thing to do?
Are you happy with people making less and less money and the rich making more and more?
I think one has to be pragmatic and realistic.
It depends on what you... So you think that people making less and less money and the rich making more and more is pragmatic and realistic, even though it's completely divorced from any of post-war economic history? You haven't given any examples. You've just given impulses.
Well, thank you very much. It's been great to talk to you. That's Professor Ashok Kumar, Associate Professor of Political Economy at Birkbeck University, and he has a specialism in labour relations. It's time for the news now.